welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be taking a look at this, the Logitech MX Anywhere 2 wireless mouse. It currently retails on Amazon for £45 which is remarkably cheaper than the mouse sold on the Logitech website. However, as far as I am concerned, they are the same mouse. So if you are going to get one, I'd get the Amazon edition off Amazon. I will link that down in the description for you. And so with prices in mind, let's take a look at some technical specifications. The mouse is wireless, so it can connect either via Bluetooth or via the Logitech Unifying Receiver, which is just a small simple USB device you can plug into any USB ports and the mouse will automatically connect to it. The mouse also has 3 connection profiles, so there's a simple button on the bottom of the mouse which you just tap and it can switch between device 1, device 2 and device 3 without having to go into the device specific settings, which is quite a nice handy feature if you use this on more than one device, for example a PC and a laptop, or kind of a laptop and an iPad. You can quickly switch between the devices. The mouse is marketed as having 7 buttons, however do bear in mind these are not your normal buttons you'd expect to find on a mouse. It has the standard left and right buttons, but the middle mouse button is not there. Instead, on the scroll wheel you can push in to switch between what Logitech call hyperfast scrolling, where you simply one scroll and the wheel just glides. It doesn't kind of lock into grooves on the mouse, and then you can push it in and get normal scrolling where it kind of locks in place after each small rotation, going stage after stage after stage. And it's a bit of a gimmick, this feature. I mean, if you view really long PDFs or Word documents and you need to scroll down 100 pages, I can see it being useful, but for those very minor occasions it's a bit annoying to go into an app and not being able to use a feature that uses the middle mouse button. So I mean, especially when a lot of people get this to replace a trackpad on a laptop where there isn't a scroll wheel, so it's a bit frustrating. But behind the scroll wheel there is a button which can be configured to what you want in the Logitech Options app, as with all the extra buttons on the mouse, and I will get onto that later. And I have that set to a middle mouse button, so you can have one on this mouse, just not where you'd expect it. The scroll wheel can also move left or right, which they're classing as 2 buttons, to scroll left or right on a document and do side scrolling, which is actually quite nice to have there. For example, on OneNote you can use it to move around the notepad without having to kind of use a touchpad or go down to the bottom and on the scroll bar on the bottom then drag that across, so it is more efficient that way. And there are also forward and back buttons on the side of the mouse. So there are actually only really 3 extra buttons to what you'd expect on a standard mouse. The mouse uses rechargeable batteries, meaning you don't need to supply your own AA batteries, and it charges via micro USB, and a cable is sent along with the mouse in the box. And Logitech don't actually state a specific battery life for the mouse, but they do say if fully charged it will last 2 months when using 6 hours a day. Again, I think this is a bit exaggerated by Logitech, but I have found that I've rarely needed to charge it, and if you do, you plug it in overnight and then you are set for the next month. And there is a little LED light on the top of the mouse which will turn red if it is low on battery, so then you just know you can plug it in, and you can still use it when it's plugged in. So even if you've got to use it and it's low on battery, you can still plug it in and use it as a standard wired mouse, which is quite nice. I also forgot to mention earlier that its wireless range is up to 10 meters, but I've never actually fully tested this. I've always had it next to a laptop, but I've never had any connectivity problems with the mouse, so on that side of things it is perfect, and a yes from me. One feature which is really useful on the mouse is what Logitech call dark field technology, and this uses high beam optical lasers to make the mouse work on any surface, and I mean any surface, including glass, which most modern mouses can't work on glass. So it kind of fits its role as being a mouse which you can take anywhere, and it's really handy if you're staying in a hotel and they've got a fancy glass table and suddenly you put your mouse down, you can't use it. While with this mouse you will be able to. So if you're worried that, oh, will it work on my desk, will it work on this surface, chances are it will do, as it can even work on glass. So that is a really useful feature to have, and actually it's not even low performance on glass, it works really well, and it is a 1000 dpi mouse, so really precise, which is nice and handy, and it's a good quality mouse in that sense. In terms of how it looks and feels, it has a nice ergonomic design which kind of fits the shape of a hand, and it kind of looks like most modern mice nowadays. It has a matte black grey finish with bronze gold accents, which is quite nice, and on the side it is rubber texture in a kind of geometric pattern, so it looks quite nice under light, quite modern and stylish, and it also feels quite good to hold.
Overall, the mouse is very quiet. However, I have conducted a sound test on an iPhone XR filming, just so you know how noisy it is. As I mentioned earlier, the mouse gives you the ability to download the Logitech Options App, which allows you to customize certain features on the mouse. So you can quickly open the app and it will bring up all your Logitech devices connected. I only have this mouse, so it just shows me this mouse, and you can simply click on a button and adjust what it does. So for example, clicking on the middle button, I can select exactly what it does, and you can select from all of these kind of options. There are thousands of them, maybe not thousands, more like 100, but it's really useful. And if you're kind of thinking, could it do this, it can, and you can even set it to a custom button. So if it doesn't have what you want to do, you can set it to a shortcut, which is really handy, so it can really do anything. And it even has features called gesture buttons. So this means that you can hold down the button and move it in a specific direction, and it will carry out a function. For example, on media controls, I can hold down the middle button, and by moving the mouse up or down, left or right, it will kind of adjust volume, skip a track, which is really good to have, and it kind of turns a button into 4 buttons, which is quite handy and actually makes the mouse really versatile in what it can do. You can also select specific features for specific applications. So if you have an application with certain shortcuts, you can then choose that and adjust it for that. So for example, for your web browser, you can make these side buttons go forward and back, but then in a specific game you could make them do a different function. So it does mean, again, it is versatile across all applications. You can then also adjust the pointer speed and the scrolling speed, which is quite a nice feature to have. So it saves going into Windows settings, you can just do it in this app, and you can also change which direction the scroll wheel goes in.
Overall, I feel like this mouse is kind of a love or hate product. There are things to love about it, things to hate about it, and if you're a person that will use the things that are to love about it, then it is for you. But if not, then I'd kind of stay clear and get a more normal kind of mouse that isn't having these gimmicky features like hyperfast scrolling. But overall, I think it's a good mouse, and if you're just wondering whether it is holding up to what Logitech advertised for it, it does, and it is worth the money that you spend on it. And I will have on screen a little thing showing whether you should buy it, whether you shouldn't, who this mouse suits, and if it suits you, then I'd go for it. It's worth the money, and it also is nice that it has the Logitech Options app, which does allow you to customize it fully, and some mice from other companies don't allow you to have these features. So overall, I think it's a yes from me if the mouse suits you.